Let's explore the early childhood education in the Philippines from the pre-colonial period to what it is today. Before anything else, I would like to introduce to you myself. My name is Michelle Anway Tumines, a first-year BSED student in Section 1B. Now, I will tell you the story of the development of ECE, or Early Childhood Education, in our country. During the pre-colonial period before the Spaniards came, there was no formal education system in our country. The children were under-received vocational trainings with their parents, tribal tutors, or other people with specialized role in their community, like the babaylan, or what we call the Philippine shaman. So, what does babaylan means? It is the Philippine indigenous community recognizes a woman and a man. They have the ability to meditate with the spirit of the world, has their own spirits guides, a gift of healing, foretelling, and insights. Also, they have their oral tradition during this period, like community stories, songs, poems, dances, and others from generation to generation. Babayin was our ancestors' writing system. So, what does Babayin mean? It is the ancient writing script of the Philippines, which our ancestors used our very old writing script to sign documents, write poetries, communicate, and write letters to one another. When Spanish occupation, the Spaniards brought formal education to the Philippines, though primary education would come later in the period. The Spanish missionaries was established schools in our country. They were also introduced the printing presses and printed books in Spanish and Tagalog. Sometimes they were using the Babylon writing script. Educational Decree of 1863 provided a free public education system in the Philippines, managed by the government, which every municipal area has established at least one school for boys and one school for girls. During the American period, the United States highly valued the education as a means of spreading to the Filipinos the American culture, values, especially the English language. In 1901, Act No. 74 formalized the establishment of a centralized experimental public school system. Their teachers was not enough due to huge of enrollment, hence Thomasites came. There were 1,000 teachers called Thomasites, came from the United States, were dispersed throughout the islands of the Philippines to put up the schools in the barangays. During this period, the Philippine Normal School, or now Philippine Normal College, was established and aims to train aspiring Filipino teachers. Harris Memorial School in Manila, or now Harris Memorial College, was the pioneer of preschool education in the Philippines. And it was the first school to open a kindergarten in 1924, and it was grown by the help of Catholic and Protestant schools. In 1935, the National Federation of Women's Club opened the first nursery school in our country and was recognized by the government after 16 years. In 1940, the Bureau of Private Schools listed 129 kindergarten classes with a total enrollment of 6,449. During Japanese period and post-war, on February 17, 1942, the Japanese Military Administration Order No. 2 was set forth, with Japan's educational policies laid out. On June 1942, the Commission of Education, Health, and Public Welfare was established and schools were reopened. On October 14, 1943, the Ministry of Education was created, and schools reserved for the teaching of Tagalog, Philippine history, and character education for the Filipinos. This school's emphasis was love for work and dignity of labor. In 1948, the first recognized course in kindergarten education was offered by the Harris Normal School. Other colleges and universities followed suit, offering special training on early childhood education under the Bachelor of Science program in Education in Home Economics. In 1950s, Dr. Miguela M. Soles, a superintendent of teacher education in the Bureau of Public Schools, who pushed government-run preschools. And it was starting in Pangasinan Normal School and followed by Zamboanga Normal School. In 1945, she would be the director of National Coordinating Center for the Study and Development of Filipino Children and Youth. A year later, she would open the Children's Village to accept kindergarten-aged children. Dr. Demetrio Belmonte, an Assistant City Health Officer of the Manila Health Department, introduced modern play centers in Manila in 1965. Dr. Evangeline G. Sova, who was a returning grantee of Programming Preschool Play Centers. Mrs. Isabel Santos, a social worker of the Ladies Association, who put up the fully equipped play centers at the Capital Isidro Mendoza Health Centers and was provided or supported by the civic organization. In the mid-1960s, the Department of Social Welfare included the nursery and kindergarten education in its program for the children. In the period of Third to Fifth Republic, in 1974, the United States relinquished its authority over the Philippines, and education saw dynamic changes through the years that followed, mostly reflected through laws and discussed in the unit of the legal foundation of early childhood education in the Philippines. In 2009, Executive Order 770 established the Early Childhood Care and Development for the 0 to 6-year-old children. Republic Act 10210 mandated the Council to act as the primary agency supporting the government ECCD programs that covers health, nutrition, early education, and social services for the children ages 0 to 4 years. During the Aquinos administration, formally adopted the K-12 program that students go through 1 year of kindergarten, 6 years for elementary and education, 4 years for junior high school, and 2 years for senior high school. Therefore, kindergarten was made compulsory. So, have you learned from my story? Thank you for listening. Bye!